Welcome. Today I'd like to talk about something I hear almost every day from clients and friends and family members. And it's perhaps something that you have said yourself. I am such an overthinker. It's become one of those phrases that many of us say almost without thinking, ironically. But if I'm honest, I'm not always sure that overthinking is the right word. We humans think. Our brains are designed to think. Thinking isn't the problem. The question is, why does my brain believe a particular thought is too important to let go of? Why does it keep bringing it back up? Why do certain conversations replay in our minds long after they've ended? Why do old hurts, old arguments, mistakes, or worries keep returning even when we'd much rather leave them behind? To understand, we need to understand a little bit about what is going on in our brain and what it's trying to do. The human brain is extraordinary. I absolutely love it. It totally fascinates me. But it's a problem-solving machine. Give it a puzzle and it wants to solve it. It wants to find answers. And really importantly, it loves patterns. It wants to understand what things mean. And it wants us to be alerted if something in the present might be a similar pattern from something that's happened before. Our brains are constantly looking for connections, predicting outcomes, and learning from experience. And then they're trying to make sense of the world around us. In many ways, this is one of the things that makes us wonderfully human. But sometimes the brain encounters something that doesn't have a clear solution. It might be a loss that can't be undone. It might be a conversation that we can't replay. A relationship that didn't unfold as we'd hoped. A mistake that we can't take back. A really painful chapter that can't be rewritten. And yet, the brain keeps searching. It may circle, it's looking for answers, it's replaying, it's if only and what if and what might have happened if. Looking for certainty where certainty doesn't exist. It's hoping that one more lap around the problem might finally bring a conclusion and relief. Deep down, our brains are also constantly scanning for danger. Not because they're trying to make us miserable. They are designed to do this. This is amazing. It's what helps us survive and has kept us evolving as the species we have. It's trying to keep us safe. If something feels emotionally significant, unresolved, threatening, or painful, the brain can place a great big red flag on it. Don't forget this. Keep paying attention. Remember, remember, remember. We might need this information later. From an evolutionary perspective, it makes perfect sense. For our ancestors, forgetting about danger would have had serious consequences. So it's not really about our brains not distinguishing between immediate danger and emotional danger. The challenge is that our brains don't always distinguish particularly well about immediate danger and emotional danger, and really importantly, remembered danger. Our bodies are also in the mix, and our nervous system is living right there up front and center. A painful memory from 20 years ago, a worry about tomorrow, a moment of rejection, a feeling of shame. Oh my gosh, how could I have said that? What will they think of me? All of these things activate the same protective systems. And so the brain keeps bringing them back. The brain isn't broken. It's really fascinating and pretty wonderful. And you're not weak. What is happening is the brain does not want you to forget. It doesn't want you to let go because it thinks it will put our lives at risk. The difficulty is that rumination rarely brings resolution. It doesn't bring us the calm relief that our thoughts will trick us into thinking that that's why they're there, trying to find the resolution. Instead, more often than not, it just keeps us trapped inside ourselves, keeps us trapped inside our heads. So we replay the conversations, we imagine the different outcomes, we analyze every detail, we rehearse what we should have said, how it should have gone, we revisit old wounds and traumas, and as we do this, our body responds because it doesn't really understand the difference between the real, present, and the imagined. So our stomach tightens, our chest constricts, our jaw clenches, our shoulders lift, our brow furrows, and the nervous system begins to mobilize as though the threat is happening right now. Then the brain notices all of this activation and it says, "See, there's my evidence. You're still upset. This really matters. We better keep thinking about it. We cannot let go." And so, unfortunately, the cycle continues. Thoughts creating activation. Activation creating more thoughts. And thoughts want to match feelings. And feelings want to match thoughts. So if the thoughts that we're having make us feel sad, we're going to find more sad thoughts to match the sad feelings. And it becomes a round and round cycle. One of the ways I think about rumination is that it's often the mind trying to protect us. It's a strategy that doesn't work any longer, like a security guard who never finishes their shift. And because they're sleep deprived now, starts to make some wacky decisions. It's faithfully pacing the corridor, checking the same door, looking under the same rug, scanning for danger. The intention is protection, but eventually the vigilance itself becomes exhausting. The challenge is that thoughts are not always a reliable guide to what deserves our attention. Some thoughts arrive quietly and they can offer genuine wisdom. Wonderful, we want to invite those in. Yes, please. But others arrive banging pots and pans together like an over-enthusiastic town crier. And just because a thought is loud, honestly, doesn't necessarily mean it's important. It could just be because the protective part of our brain is going, there might be threat in here. I need you to listen to this. And just because a thought has returned for the 100th time doesn't mean it deserves another 100 rounds of your attention. So what can we do? This is the golden question. We can't force the mind to stop thinking. It really doesn't like that. You might have noticed if any of you have tried to do that. But it can help if we can help to find safety and let the mind know that we are safe enough to rest. One of my favorite techniques is something that I call the road closed sign. So I don't know if you've ever driven down a road and just it's the end of the road and there's often a big concrete bollard with a great big sign saying road closed. You cannot go any further. So when you notice the rumination starting, and the trick is always in the noticing, imagine the big road closed concrete bollard. No further access today. Not because the thought doesn't matter, not because you're pretending everything is fine, and you're not denying reality. What you're doing is you're saying, no, we've done it enough today. You don't need to keep driving around the same roundabout, hoping to arrive somewhere new. The road is closed. Another technique I sometimes think about is the thought net. So imagine a great big net, like a fishing net or what you might catch lovely butterflies in, and you scoop up all the thoughts and the worries and the unfinished conversations, scooping them together, holding them gently, then placing the net down beside you. We're not throwing it away. We're not pretending it doesn't exist. We're simply setting it down. Because carrying something every moment of the day doesn't make it easier to solve. Sometimes it simply makes us tired and beyond tired, exhausted. Another approach comes from trauma-informed therapy, often known as containment. Sometimes the brain believes it must solve everything and right now, like urgent. Particularly at bedtime, when it suddenly decides that it's now that it wants to make sure we don't forget about today, yesterday, and maybe an awkward conversation we had in 1997. Instead, imagine placing those thoughts into a container. Better still, scribble some of those thoughts down on little bits of paper and put them in a container. Could be a little jar or a little box, but sometimes our imagination can do the trick too. Somewhere safe, somewhere that feels right for you. And when our brain knows that something has been contained and put somewhere safe and often written down, it lets go a little bit. Somehow it tells the brain, this exists physically, and it's contained. You don't need to keep going round and round in circles. And that's a huge difference between abandoning the thought or trying to push it away. It's just about saying, no, it's held for tonight and it's safe. What we've talked about in those three examples are metaphors. Metaphors are really useful, and my encouragement to you would be, find your own metaphor. Those three might work for you, wonderful, but if they don't, be curious about what kind of metaphor could work for you. Honestly, they really cut through to somewhere deep in the psyche that can often really help. Many nervous systems tolerate postponement far better than rejection. So you'll notice that none of those exercises is about rejecting the thought or downplaying it. It's also really important to remember that there's a difference between remembering something and repeatedly reopening it. When we remember something, we want to let the body and the brain know we're in the here and now and we're safe. We're remembering back then. We're not reliving. We never want to re-traumatize. And sometimes that is what can happen when we open up memories. So healing may require remembering, but from a place of safety. Rumination often involves reopening. One helps us integrate the experience, the other can keep us trapped inside. It's a little bit like touching a bruise to check whether it still hurts. The touching itself can keep the bruise tender. Healing isn't found in revisiting the wound over and over again. Healing comes from allowing the wound space and compassion to settle and heal, to breathe, to repair, to be integrated into part of our story. Many of us spend years believing that peace will arrive when we've finally solved every problem, when we've got all the answers, closed every loop, understood every hurt, explained every disappointment. But more often than not, peace arrives in a different way. It arrives when we have stopped rehearsing, when the problem that we were searching to solve feels a little bit further away from us. Almost like we're watching a cloud float by. When we've stopped asking the mind to carry something that belongs in the past. When we've stepped out of the endless replay and we step back into the life that's waiting for us in the here and now, because that's the only place that truly exists. So if you find yourself caught in rumination, perhaps the question isn't, how do I stop overthinking? Perhaps the question is, what is my mind trying so hard to protect me from forgetting? Because beneath many repetitive thoughts is vigilance, is protection. It's a nervous system trying to do its very best to keep you safe. It's not fault. It's not weakness. It's not something's wrong with me, I'm an overthinker. So perhaps one of the kindest things we can do is gently thank the mind. Yes, thank it. Thank you and my nervous system for trying to do the very best for me. Acknowledge its concerns. I know we're seeing patterns. I know we want to remember. But that memory is not serving me in the now. And remind it that for this moment, right here, it's allowed to rest. It's allowed to repair. It's allowed to release and let go of. And take a long, slow, gentle, deep breath, making the out breath just a little bit longer than the in breath, bringing a beautiful, gentle soothe to the nervous system. I hope that you have found this useful and of benefit. I hope that if you have, you might feel inclined to share it and like and subscribe, because you'll help me to reach more people that might just need a little bit of help. So for now, I wish you a beautiful day or evening, and I ask that you please take very good care of yourself.